Hello, YouTube. It's 11:50 a.m. Thursday, November 18th, 2021. God damn it! I'm just heading out, debating between going to DES and going to the hospital. Although my biggest fear of going to the hospital is that excuse me, is that I won't get out in time for my show. And I as it is, I don't have enough money coming in this month to cover all of my expenses this month. So I really can't afford to miss one of my nights when I'm only working Thursday nights. Still haven't heard from Amazon, although I've gotten a couple messages through the email and through the app. Apparently they've accepted my driver's license, which would tell me that they've also accepted my driving record, which surprises me considering that I've been just so completely rejected by cab companies at this point in time. They're still completing my background check. Said it would be around 10 days, and I think today just marks 7 or 8 days, so obviously I just need to be more patient. See, I did mention I'm debating between going to DES or going to the hospital. So I'm still waiting. I don't know. I feel like I might have overextended my days on when I need to get to DES, and probably that's where I should go. And probably I should eat, because I haven't ate in a couple of days. The thing I'm thinking about going to the hospital for is I've got some kind of growth going on in the back of my throat. It's like my uvula has grown about 2 inches, and I find myself kind of gagging and choking on it, even talking. Like it's yeah, that's oh Lord. Oh God, yeah, it's bad. It's probably it's problematic. Yeah, I need to go to the hospital for sure. Oh my God, that was awful. Trying to get a perspective on the days. I still have a couple more short videos to upload from the Denver airport. I'm wandering around the Denver airport early Tuesday morning, and I decided to just hold off on those. And to be honest, it's I never like to think of myself as a kind of a YouTuber, especially considering that most of my videos get less than 10 views. However, I'm kind of doing it because of view count. I've noticed when I upload a buttload of videos all at once, just because I've had a day I've done excessive vlogging, that they tend to get very, very few views. Like 1, 2, 3, whereas if I put a little more space between when I upload them, I might get 10-ish views. The days of me getting between 50 and 100 views on this channel are pretty much over, and I know probably nobody cares to listen to me rambling on about my struggles, which, whatever, that doesn't surprise me. Not like I have anything that even resembles an exciting life at this point. And before, at least there was some nice drive-alongs, in my car, where I would keep my phone in my what do you call it, my brain fart, my and the little holder, as like a dash cam. I would imagine some people just enjoyed watching those videos because it gave you some interesting views of driving through Phoenix. And certainly walking through Phoenix isn't as interesting. I mean, it's I've been silenced for quite some time. I'm still a pretty active Redditor, and I've been silenced for quite some time on our Phoenix over allegedly racist comments. I have no idea what was deemed racist that I said, and I just thought the whole thing was so ridiculous that I never responded or asked. Anyway, I kind of wandered through a lot of comments on a post that trended on that channel yesterday, and I couldn't comment on any of it, which bummed me out. I would have liked to. I think I could have given an interesting perspective, being that I've been forced to be a pedestrian for the last 2 months. But it was just somebody basically just posted an article regarding how, and I've stated this many times, regarding how Phoenix, Arizona, in the Phoenix area leads the nation. Bus is just right there when that's not the bus I'm trying to get. That's how it always works. We talked about how Phoenix leads the nation in car pedestrian accidents and also in car pedestrian deaths. And then there was a lot of discussion in there, and you could really tell there was sort of just a strong divide between those who drive and those that walk and think motor vehicles are evil. And I mean, I see that in circles and on like any video, the comments on any video by, say, Not Just Bikes or City Beautiful, but those all tend to lean, it's mostly anti-car people that are at those videos, commenting on those videos. So it was a little more interesting divide in our Phoenix, just because most Phoenicians drive. Now, there's one area, it's blaming all the car pedestrian accidents on distracted driving. Oh my God, everybody's using their cell phone while they're driving. Yeah, everybody's doing it. I mean, maybe not everybody's doing it. And to be honest, I'm, there needs to be more enforcement of that. I personally don't think so. I figure I should be free to do whatever the fuck I want to while I'm driving. And I should be the judge of whether or not what I'm doing while I'm driving is distracting. Now, your average modern car these days has a tablet, or what is essentially a tablet, in the dashboard. And everything's done through touchscreen controls. And how that's any different than using a smartphone while you're driving, I never really heard an explanation. But one of them is excused by the law and the other one isn't. Now, I honestly believe I'm fully capable of operating my smartphone while I'm driving, and knowing when I need to have my full attention on the road and when I don't. I really wish I'd have run some video, and I didn't really talk about this. I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not in my videos in the Denver airport. Probably of all the different things I did with my daughter while I was in Portland, the best quality time we had, and honestly the best quality time we've had before she left Phoenix in the last couple of months, has been her coming and just saying, hey, let's just ride around with me while I'm doing Uber Eats and I'm doing Uber Eats and DoorDash and kind of help me navigate, since the city so much better than these algorithms do. And kind of help me learn, where addresses are and shortcuts and ways in and out of parking lots, that sort of thing. And for the most part, I've just completely rode shotgun with her, and she's done her thing, and she seems to make more money on those nights than she does without me, and she said that it's been helpful, And usually throws me some food. So that's something. As tight as my money is, getting dinner is a pretty big deal these days. So anyway, she kind of changed it up. Like when we went to Portland on Sunday night, which we got there, I want to say we got there about, she woke me up in downtown Portland. I fell asleep. And once we got on the I-5 heading north, I believe I was awake completely through Eugene, but there's really nothing to be seen of Eugene, Oregon from I-5 headed northbound. I hope I'm getting the city name right. I want to say Eugene. I don't know. That's where, around where we connected to the freeway from the back roading route that we took over the mountains. And I mean, you can see some strip malls, but there's really nothing to be seen of that's noteworthy as you're going up I-10. And it just came to a point. I was like, wow, that was Eugene. Okay, nothing. That was boring as fuck. And I just curled up and went to sleep. When she woke me up, we were in downtown Portland, like downtown Portland. And I'm like, well, why are you here? She's like, because that's where the GPS said to go, which to me was hysterical, because we never specified a specific destination in Portland. We really never had a plan for when we got to Portland that I can recall. We just simply typed in Portland. So I find it interesting that just by typing in Portland, that there's some default location that Google Maps considers to be Portland, and it navigated her onto, through the inner city freeways, because there are definitely inner city freeways in Portland, which is something, honestly, I don't feel like Phoenix really has, but Portland definitely has it. So yeah, it navigated us around that, and then at some point, like, directed her off the freeway and onto local streets downtown to apparently cross points that it determined was Portland. My guess is that she woke me up because it was like, you are here. Because I asked her, it's like, why did you come here? And she's just like, well, this is where the GPS said to go. I'm like, okay, all right. And I had already kind of picked out that I wanted to go to a specific karaoke bar, but I mean, she didn't put that place's address into the GPS. And while I looked at where it was on a map, I don't believe she did. So that's not where we were. We weren't very far from it. That karaoke bar was just kind of north of the downtown area. On, I want to say, Interstate Avenue. I half the time I noticed in my two videos where I was walking around, at least the first super long video where I was walking around Portland and I walked by it, I noticed half the time I referred to it as Freeway Avenue as opposed to Interstate Avenue. Yeah, in my head, those are the same words. Just saying. I confuse shit like that all the time. I mean, shit, the video I did for the first one, we're walking around DIA, I say I'm in Terminal 1. I'm not. I'm in Terminal A. I'm used to Sky Harbor. Sky Harbor has numbered terminals. It's the first terminal. It's 1. It just so happens it's called Terminal A. Same shit to me. Anyway, yeah, so I was gonna go to Taco Bell, get some quality eating, but it just occurred to me that I'm just wanting to get all this off my chest while I'm shooting video, and my brain's a little more cohesive than normal. So anyway, when we got there, it was just kind of like, well, I said, and she was like, well, blah, 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 drop you off. Like she already had it in her mind that the first thing she needed to do was drop me off, which, whatever. I can kind of understand that. I suppose after being with me that long, she's probably wanting to feel like she had some freedom without her dad dragging along with, and I had already kind of told her that I had something I wanted to do, so this was a workable solution. And from there, we pretty much went directly to I looked at the map, told her how to get to the karaoke bar. We went directly to the karaoke bar. I got out of the parking lot, and she took off. And she said that at that point, she said she was going to go to sleep because she was tired, which is, it ends up, it's not what she did. She said she just kind of drove around, just kind of exploring, which is cool. I mean, to be honest, when I go to a place that I'm not from, that's what I do the most of, is just drive around and explore. And I might kind of have a map where I'm looking at things that look interesting on the map, and I want to see what they actually look like in person. And wow, I just barely leaned on that and it fell apart. Wow, I just barely put my hand on that damn utility thing and it fell apart. Yeah, I'm not going to attempt to put it back together. The utility company needs to do a better job of putting those things back together when they service them, because holy crap, it's ridiculous. All right. And odd to see somebody standing in front of that business, standing in front of Buffalo Wild Wings, probably talking to somebody on the phone. Oh yeah, she's definitely talking to somebody on the phone. It's kind of cute. Oh, hello, car backing up. So I'm just walking back to see a parking. I really am hungry. I want to get me some Taco Bell. So yeah, she dropped me off, and I ended up realized that there was a private party going on. I couldn't really sit in the I could sit in the back bar area, but I couldn't sit in the karaoke bar area because it was closed off for a private party. And as tight as my money was, I didn't really want to start buying expensive drinks at that point. And boy, did that place have expensive drinks. Holy crap. Yeah, that's another subject for another time. Anyway, I decided I hadn't done any vlogging since leaving on the trip, so that was a good time to walk outside, and I shot the video. Hopefully y'all seen that. It's the one that just says me wandering around Portland talking to myself, because that's pretty much all I was doing. And so yeah, I just wandered around the area, somewhat adjacent to the karaoke bar, and went in, and it's eventually, like, we started messaging each other, and I asked her if she had done any driving, and she said, or if she had found a place to sleep, and she said no, that she hadn't gone to sleep yet. And then I asked her if she had logged in to doing any Uber Eats, and she said that no, she didn't really feel like she knew the area enough, wasn't really comfortable with it yet. And it's like, okay. And then she had said a little bit later, said that she had found a place where she thought would be a good place for to sleep. What was I doing? And I'm like, well, so still eating some mediocre French fries, taking my time on them, nursing a drink that's really strong, and sitting here waiting for my next karaoke song. And she's like, well, I'm just sitting outside. And apparently she was just sitting in the parking lot outside the karaoke bar at that time. And she's just like, well, do you want to come with now, blah, blah, blah. I ended up staying there. Honestly, I was going to leave right at that point. Slammed my drink, ate my food really fast. And I said, well, give me time to tab out. And I walked up and I tabbed out. And then I walked over to let the KJ know, just kind of as a courtesy, that I wasn't there. Because I appreciate that as a KJ, knowing when people have songs in the rotation aren't there. So I could just move on to the next singer and not be trying to call them. But he kind of threw me for a loop. He goes, well, you're up song after next. And I was very, very much paying attention. He was definitely running a very fair rotation. So I had been after Dante every time. I was after Dante that as soon as he told me that, I was debating between whether I really want to do it, and it's like, God, I'd been waiting a long time for my third song, so I just sat down. Thought I should look a little more closely over my tab, because holy crap, it was about 3 times what I expected it would be. And then he called Dante up. Dante was the only person I really had any kind of conversation with while I was there. Just beyond, random people going, hey, that song kicked ass, blah, blah, or one girl telling me it was her birthday. Dante was kind of an odd dude, but at least he was friendly to me, an outsider. Although I didn't notice anybody else talking to him, so I guess to the other people, he was an outsider as well, although he said he lived there. And he had kind of an odd accent. I want to say some kind of Eastern European accent. Good singer, though. Damn good singer. So, anyway, yeah, so I ended up being right after him, saying, I Will Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab for Cutie. And then we went to, then after that I just went right out, and Allison was waiting for me, and I didn't really pay attention much. Like, she kind of told me tried to explain some of the places she had driven around, but said that she didn't log in because she didn't really feel comfortable and was kind of freaked out by how the freeways were laid out. She's like, these freeways are crazy. Every exit just has a loop, and they just don't. Yeah, the freeway. She's like, I never realized how much I appreciated ADOT and was on easy mode living in Phoenix. And I'm like, oh yeah, Phoenix freeways are. It blows my mind that so many people are. There's such a wrong way driver thing happening all the time in Phoenix, because Phoenix freeways are super easy to navigate and very, very logically laid out. But yeah, the freeways are awkward, to say the least. But I mean, no more awkward than, say, San Diego or parts of LA or parts of Denver or other places that I've driven. So now, granted, I had the same issue there, driving that I often had in Denver, where exits I was unfamiliar with. I kind of thought I knew where I was going. I looked at the map and then realized, I didn't see my exit. I missed it somewhere, and I had to kind of navigate and figure out how to get back to where I was going. And granted, that's because I'm using Google Maps like a map, as opposed to putting it in navigation mode and having the creepy disembodied voice tell me which exit to take. That's what most people do, and probably most people don't make the mistakes that I did. But most people don't seem to learn streets and maps the way I do, and by making those mistakes, I learn. I learn well. So, and I'm not bothered by taking it from me. That's half the adventure. And that's how I learned San Diego so well. Anyway, so long story short, because I'm freaking hungry and I'm over the 20-minute mark, which makes these hard to upload. So yeah, we ended up just crashing out. I think I explained this in another video, but yeah, we ended up just crashing out. And then there was that early morning wake up, go to the bathroom. She would holler, that seemed like a long journey to find a public restroom. And then she ended up going back to the exact same spot, which was had zero pedestrian access to anything. I mean, literally zero pedestrian access. I had used the Google Maps function. Like with Google Maps, you can choose whether you want it to show you routes, how to get from point A to point B via driving. That's the default one. But there's also public transportation, the bus logo, but it also includes trains and ferries and whatnot. And then walking and bicycle. And I put it on walking mode, and it showed these little dots showing me to go from where I was down to this road. And I didn't see that road there. Anyway, after the sun came up, I realized I was missing a shoe. That's another story entirely. By the way, I did find my shoes. Actually, Allison found them as we were getting out of as I was getting out of the airport. I don't know how the hell I did all that searching and didn't find it, and she did some searching and didn't find it, but suddenly there was my shoe. All I can figure is it got shoved under the seat, and by moving stuff out, it fell out from under the seat. But God, I could have swore I reached back there. Anyway, so we drive to, so I'm looking at that, and it says that I just need to basically hop over this wall that is at the scenic lookout rest area that we're at, up above on I forget what freeway, but we're near Oregon City. And then it says just to walk down to the road, which is right next to it, and then walk down the road. Well, as I look over that wall that is telling me to hop, it's just dense forest, and it looks like it drops straight off. Well, later when the sun came up, I went out with my one shoe and one sock and walked along that wall, and I'm looking, and there's just no sort of path at all where Google was telling me to walk. And I walked a little bit further down that wall, and eventually I got to a point where I could see the road, and it was more down it was more down than it was over. I mean, it was just like, basically Google was telling me as a pedestrian that I just needed to tuck and roll down the cliff until I ended at the street below. There was just no way that could ever, even with hiking boots, like that would have been next to impossible. And I guess it's just to be expected that something that's, part of that's a scenic lookout on a freeway would be disconnected from any kind of pedestrian access from beyond the freeway. I guess that makes sense, but it sucked for me being stuck there as a pedestrian while she was sound asleep. I'm not sure what time we woke up. It was mid-afternoon though. It was nice in the morning too. When I walked over and realized there was no way in hell I was going to make it down that with one shoe, and wouldn't have made it down it even with two shoes. I farted around on my phone until the Obama phone, her outlets in her car are not powered if the car's not running, so that sucks. So yeah, when the battery died on my Obama phone, I was done. Managed to go back to sleep, woke up. Apparently we both woke up around the same time. I forget what time it was. It was early afternoon. I want to say like 1, 2 in the afternoon-ish. And it was pouring rain and dark from being overcast. It's not the pretty sunny morning that I woke up to. And I went and tried to find my shoe in the park. That was a massive failure because, of course, it wasn't in the park. It was in the car where I looked and didn't find it. I figured it just must have came out. So when we drove to the park, she has this habit of turning the heat on to the point where it's just brutal. Like I feel like I can feel my flesh cooking. I don't know why she ever takes the temperature and turns it all the way to the right, because like she just got her I think she just got her heater core replaced and her and the radiator hoses. So I mean, it's brutally the way your car is. It's just, you turn that thing all the way to the right, and unless it's like snowing, you need to heat the car up. You don't need to keep it there. Like within moments, it's hot in the car. You need to back that off, and she just doesn't. And I feel rude reaching up and doing it because it's not my car. But by the time we got there, like I literally felt like my flesh was cooking in the car. So when we got there to the park, I just opened the door to let some cool air in, and it was cold outside. All she needed to do was basically turn on the heat till it was ceased being cold in the car, and then just turn that shit off, turn the vent off, turn all the climate controls off. She just doesn't know how to use it like that, which is funny because like it'll be not particularly hot, just kind of comfortably warm in her car, and she'll turn on the AC, and she does the same thing with it. She turns it just like ridiculously frigid and has it blowing ice cold air. And I asked her, it's like, if it was anywhere near the storm, you would have the air conditioning on. Why do you turn it up so hot when, if it was that hot, you would have the air conditioning ice cold to the temperature of what it was when you turned it on to make it hot? Like, why can't you just get it to like something that's medium and comfortable and just leave this shit alone? She's like, well, I forget what her explanation was, but it was bullshit. Other than she said her feet were cold. Which, okay, that's fine. Then turn it from the vents that are roasting my face so it's all on the floor, and put your feet next to those vents until your feet are warmed up. And take your goddamn shoes off so it's blowing on your feet, not your boots. Anyway. Yeah, that was not a good time. Not knowing where my shoe was not a good time. Walking around in pouring freaking rain with the wind trying to blow her umbrella. And I absolutely detest umbrellas, but it was just coming down so much I felt like I needed it. Yeah, we went to, just didn't find it in the park. I was just frustrated. And after that, we went to the area where she's moving to. Eventually, she's just like, you know what, I'll just let you drive. And that put me in a much better frame of mind. Like, once I was behind the wheel, my whole disposition changed. And we pretty much spent from that time up until I drove myself to the airport at around 11:30 p.m. With me driving and her running in and out of restaurants, picking up food, and then in and out of places delivering. And she said that she just like never made money. So much money was burning so little gas that fast. And we quickly went from me needing to use the Google. I just the way the Uber algorithm navigates just did not work well with my brain, and the way I just work around maps and build maps in my head So I was using the Google Maps algorithm, which I'm accustomed to, but it didn't take too many times before it got to the point I didn't need to use that at all anymore, and I just knew where I was going. And she was kind of bewildered at just how quick I learned the area. And to be fair, we weren't all over Portland. We did a little bit of downtown, and other than that, we're mostly in North Portland. In fact, mostly in like the St. John's area, that whole peninsula on the north west corner of Portland. And I like that area. I like that area a lot. I mean, granted, I don't know much about anywhere else in Portland, but I just quickly found myself being comfortable around that area. That was probably the best times we had. Looking back now, I'm wishing that I had not been in such a hurry to leave, but I was so fucking miserable the first half of Monday with the whole situation with my shoe and the rain and no charge on my phone and just feeling trapped in a car where I couldn't even walk somewhere because I didn't have shoes. We did go to a Goodwill, of course, and I bought another pair of shoes, the red shoes. They were featured in another video. Anyway, I'm sure I've bored you all to tears by now, but so that kind of brings me up to flying out of Portland. I'm gonna go get me something to eat. I'm still debating as to whether I want to go to the hospital about my whatever the hell's going on with my the back of my throat and that massive growth that I can potentially choke on. It does have me really nervous about emceeing and singing tonight, but I've been able to talk for the last 20 minutes without it being a problem. So hopefully I can manage with it. Anyway, I need to eat. I haven't eaten like a day and a half.